Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, Clive Myrie. In the spotlight tonight are Susan Cook, an NHS manager whose specialist subject is the poetry of John Keats. Juliet Harris, a solicitor. Her subject is the award-winning musician PJ Harvey. Justin Lee, a student who will be answering questions on the Holy Roman Emperor Henry IV. And Lewis Jones, a project manager. His specialist subject is the films of David Fincher. The famous Mastermind black chair has seen it all, and then some. It's felt the nerves and the anguish, the joy and exhilaration of contenders surviving and even thriving under the pressure of 2 minutes of questions on their specialist subject and 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. It also knows the pain of defeat. Who will it be tonight making their way to the semi-finals? Let's find out. So, can I ask our first contender to join us, please? Your name?
Susan Cook.
Your occupation?
I'm a manager in the NHS.
And your specialist subject?
The poetry of John Keats.
The work of the revered romantic poet who died in 1821 at the age of just 25. In 2 minutes. Here we go. According to its title, John Keats' ode, written in 1819, which opens, "Thou still unravished bride of quietness," is addressed to what ancient object?
Grecian urn.
Yes, Keats' poem, often said to be his first, that begins, "Now morning from her orient chamber came," was written as an imitation of the style of which 16th century English poet?
Spenser.
Yes, in a poem addressed to his friend J.H. Reynolds, Keats recounts a series of disturbing dreams and visions that he had the night before and confesses that instead of suffering these horrid moods, he would rather be a what?
Awake.
No, clapping bell. In his poem to Charles Cowden Clarke, Keats writes that many days have passed since his heart was maddened by Handel or delighted by which 18th century composer?
Haydn.
No, Thomas Arne. Which of Keats' poems was the subject of a review in Blackwood magazine in 1818 that referred to him as an ignorant and unsettled pretender who composed prurient and vulgar lines?
Endymion.
Yes, Keats' short life spanned the Napoleonic Wars, and in his poem On Peace, a celebration of Napoleon's surrender in 1814, he calls on Europe to curb the great, as well as urging, "Give thy kings what?"
Solitude.
No, law. In the Eve of St. Agnes, as Porphyro spies on the sleeping Madeline, he lays out a feast of delicates, including manna and dates, that have been transferred from Fez in what type of ship?
Bark.
No, Argosy. The short poem about worldly pleasures in which Keats identifies his beloved Trinity is entitled Give Me Wine, Women and What?
Song.
No, snuff. According to the title of one of Keats' poems, which historical event is referred to by him as Britain's direst, foulest shame?
The Restoration of Charles II.
Yes, in Isabella, or The Pot of Basil, a tragic poem about a young woman whose lover is murdered by her brothers. What personality trait is referred to by Keats as love's cousin?
Melancholy.
No, it's selfishness. Susan, at the end of that round, you had no passes. You've got 4 points. And our next contender, please. Your name?
Juliet Harris.
Your occupation?
Solicitor.
And your specialist subject?
PJ Harvey.
The British musician, writer and artist who became both the first solo woman to win the Mercury Music Prize and the first person to win it twice. In 2 minutes. Let's go. In 1988, when she was 18 years old, Harvey joined which Bristol-based band led by her future frequent collaborator, John Parrish, playing saxophone and providing backing vocals?
Automatic Tlamini.
Yes, the debut album, Dry, released in 1992, when the name PJ Harvey still referred to her trio, featuring Rob Ellis and Stephen Vaughan, was recorded at which studio in Yeovil?
Ice House.
Yes, in 1993, Harvey had her first UK Top 40 single, reaching number 27 in the chart, with which song featuring the lyrics, "I'm number one, second to no one"?
50-Foot Queenie.
Yes, Harvey's 2016 album, The Hope 6 Demolition Project, was created as part of an art installation, in which Harvey worked behind one-way glass, observed throughout by public audiences. At what London venue?
Somerset House.
Yes, What's the name of the farm near Salisbury, which was the filming location for the video, starring Ruth Wilson for the song Seem and I from Harvey's 2023 album I Inside the Old Year Dying?
Kennel Farm.
Yes, in 2022, Harvey and the composer Tim Phillips created the score and soundtrack for the television series Bad Sisters, including a cover version of which song by Leonard Cohen?
Who by Fire.
Yes, which of Harvey's poems from her 2015 collection, The Hollow of the Hand, opens with the lines, "A brass dog with two heads shows his teeth and wears shoes"?
The Abandoned Village.
No, Begging Bowl. What's the surname of the twin sisters Maria, who took the photograph for the cover of Harvey's 2007 album White Chalk, and Annie, who designed and made the dress she wears in it?
Mocknash.
Yes, Harvey's 2022 book, Orlam, a novel in verse written in Dorset dialect, tells the story of 9-year-old Ira Abel Rawls, who grows up in what fictional West Country village?
Underwhelm.
Yes, what song by the Iraqi musician Saeed El Kurdi is sampled on Harvey's track England from the 2011 album Let England Shake?
The Camp.
No, Casemiro. Harvey co-wrote a number of songs with Ben Power for what stage play? Power's adaptation of the Charles Dickens novel Our Mutual Friend,
London Tide.
which opened at London's National Theatre in April 2024. It is London Tide. So, Juliet, at the end of that round, you had no passes. You've got 9 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name,
Justin Lee,
your occupation,
student.
and your specialist subject.
The Holy Roman Emperor Henry IV.
The powerful German king whose reign as Holy Roman Emperor lasted from 1084 to 1105. In 2 minutes. Here we go. What name was given to the controversy over the appointment of church officials that soured relations between the papacy and Henry IV for much of his reign?
The investiture controversy.
Yes, the coronation of the 3-year-old Henry as King of Germany was held in 1054 in the cathedral of which German city?
Cologne.
No, Aachen. Which French monk, who would later seek to foster good relations between Henry and the papacy, was chosen to be godfather to the infant prince in 1051?
He of Cluny.
Yes, following a rebellion against royal authority by Dadi I, the Margrave of Lower Lusatia, in 1069, Henry led his forces into Thuringia and captured the castles of Burg Scheidungen and which other settlement a few miles to its west?
Gerstungen.
No, Beichlingen. What was the Latin title of the papal bull issued in 1075, which asserted the papacy's right to depose an emperor, a declaration that infuriated Henry and his supporters?
Dictatus Papae.
Yes, which pope issued a pronouncement on the 22nd of February 1076 that due to Henry's unheard-of pride, I absolve all Christians from the bond of any oath that they have made or shall make to him, and I forbid anyone to serve him as king.
Gregory VII.
Yes, what territory in Italy did Henry offer to Robert Guiscard, the Norman Duke of Apulia and Calabria, in 1081, in an unsuccessful attempt to secure his support in his struggles against Gregory VII?
March of Thermo.
Yes, on which date in 1075 did Henry secure a promise from the German princes that they would elect his 2-year-old son Conrad as his successor?
Christmas.
Yes, Christmas Day. During his coronation as Holy Roman Emperor by the anti-pope Clement III in St. Peter's Basilica in 1084, Henry used as part of his regalia what item believed to have belonged to St. Maurice?
Holy Lance.
Yes, in a defiant letter to Pope Gregory VII on the 24th of January 1076. Following the council held at Worms, Henry addressed the pontiff as Hildebrand, at present not pope, but what?
False monk.
Yes, which bishop, when tasked by Henry... I've studied, so I'll finish. Which bishop, when tasked by Henry with publicly announcing the excommunication of Pope Gregory VII, secretly fled the city of Utrecht in 1076 rather than do so?
People of Toul.
Yes, Bishop Pibo. So, Justin, at the end of the round, you had no passes. You've got 9 points. And our final contender, please. Your name,
Lewis Jones.
your occupation,
Project manager.
and your specialist subject.
The films of David Fincher.
The Oscar-winning American filmmaker known for his psychological thrillers. In 2 minutes. Let's go. David Fincher's 2007 film Zodiac focuses on a string of unsolved murders committed in the 1960s and 70s, not far from where Fincher himself grew up, in which US state?
California.
Yes, in Fincher's debut feature film Alien 3, the protagonist, Ripley, and the inmates of the prison where she has crash-landed hatch a plan to trap and kill the xenomorph creature by dousing it with a molten form of what metal?
Steel.
No, lead. In The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, the title character, who ages backwards, grows up in a nursing home among various elderly characters, including Mr. Dawes, who has been struck by lightning how many times?
8.
No, 7. What's the title of the magazine co-owned by the disgraced journalist Mikhail Blomkvist, played by Daniel Craig in Fincher's adaptation of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Millennium.
Yes. In Panic Room, Sarah, played by Kristen Stewart, attempts to signal SOS to a neighbour in Morse code, which she tells her mother she learned from which film?
The Importance of Being Honest.
No, Titanic. The multimillionaire Nicholas Van Orton, played by Michael Douglas, whose life is derailed in the game, resorts to selling what item in order to return to San Francisco?
His watch.
Yes. During his first assignment in The Killer, the unnamed assassin, played by Michael Fassbender, consults his fitness tracker and claims that he needs a pulse rate below how many beats per minute to ensure a hit?
70.
No, 60. In Gone Girl, the lawyer Tanner Bolt, played by Tyler Perry, prepares Nick for his first television interview since his wife's disappearance by throwing what confectionery item at him every time he looks smug, annoyed, or tense?
M&M's.
No, a gummy bear. At the first of John Doe's murder scenes in 7, Detective Somerset finds the word gluttony written behind the fridge along with a quote from what work of literature?
Paradise Lost.
Yes, when Fight Club's narrator asks the protagonist, Tyler Durden, which celebrity, living or dead, he'd most like to fight, he chooses which author?
Oscar Wilde.
No, Ernest Hemingway. In The Social Network, the Facebook co-founders Mark Zuckerberg and Eduardo Saverin meet the Napster entrepreneur Sean Parker, who promptly orders for everyone the favourite cocktail of Eduardo's girlfriend. Christy, what's the drink?
Appletini.
It is Appletini. Lewis, at the end of that round, you had no passes. You've got 5 points. So at the end of the specialist subjects round, let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place with 4 points is Susan. In 3rd place with 5 points is Lewis. And in joint 1st place with 9 points are Juliet and Justin. So now it's general knowledge. And if there's a tie at the end of the round, then the number of passes is taken into account and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, it's a tie break. So let's ask Susan to join us again, please. Susan, you start with 4 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Here we go. What word for a winged insect is also the name for the front opening at the top of a pair of trousers that's fastened with a zip or buttons?
Flies.
Yes. A standard chessboard has how many individual squares?
32.
No, 64. As the headline act at the Super Bowl halftime show in 2024, which R&B singer performed many of his hits, including Caught Up, Love in This Club, and You Got It Bad?
Justin Timberlake.
No, Usher. What name abbreviated to the letter K is given to the standard international unit of thermodynamic temperature?
Kelvin.
Yes, in 2020, Alexander De Croo became Prime Minister of which EU country?
Belgium.
Yes. What 4-letter name is given to the Winter Olympic sport of Swiss origin, in which either one or two competitors ride face up on a small sledge with their feet pointing forward?
Luge.
Yes, the final episode of which American television sitcom entitled The Last One, broadcast in 2004, was watched by more than 50 million viewers in the United States?
Friends.
Yes, which 19th century British physician led a famous experiment that identified a contaminated water pump as the cause of an 1854 cholera epidemic in London?
Fleming.
No, Jon Snow. What name is given in law to the criminal offence of marrying a second spouse while still married to the first?
Oh, for heaven's sake. Usury.
No, bigamy. The Coolin Hills is a mountain range on which island of the Inner Hebrides?
Skye.
Yes, which singer and actress won an Oscar for her performance as Sally Bowles in the 1972 musical Cabaret?
Liza Minnelli.
Yes, the main ingredients of the Irish dish champ are spring onions and what other vegetable?
Potato.
Yes, the author and journalist born Cicely Fairfield wrote under the pseudonym Rebecca West, a name taken from a heroine in a play by which Norwegian dramatist?
Ibsen.
Yes, which city in the US state of Minnesota, together with St. Paul, forms the Twin Cities metropolitan area?
Charleston.
No, Minneapolis. In 1919, when the pilots John Alcock and Arthur Brown completed the first non-stop transatlantic flight, they shared a prize of £10,000 from which British national newspaper?
The Times.
No, the Daily Mail. What five-letter term is used to refer to the secret police organisation called the Ministry for State Security, which operated in East Germany during the Cold War?
Stasi.
Yes. That's the end of your round. So, Susan, you had no passes. You've got 14 points.
Thank you.
Next up, it's Lewis. Lewis, you start with 5 points. The score to beat as it stands is 14 points. You've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Here we go. Which Conservative politician was the first female Prime Minister of the UK?
Thatcher.
Yes, in 1989, the journalist and television presenter John Craven began co-hosting what television series about rural and environmental current affairs?
Country File.
Yes, in the nursery rhyme that begins, Monday's child is fair of face, which day's child is said to have far to go?
Thursday.
Yes, which vowel letter in lower case is used in maths to represent the square root of -1?
I.
Yes, which river, rising in Brazil and flowing southwards for more than 3,000 miles to its confluence with the Uruguay River, is the second longest in South America?
River Plate.
No, the Paraná River. What term derived from a French word meaning dull or dim is used to describe paint that's not glossy?
Matte.
Yes, what's the English name for the small blue elf-like characters created in 1958 by the Belgian cartoonist known as Peyo and originally called Les Schtroumpfs?
The Smurfs.
Yes, Susan Sarandon won a Best Actress Oscar for her portrayal of the real-life nun, Sister Helen Pregene, in what 1995 film?
Presumed Innocent.
No, Dead Man Walking. The National Union of Rail, Maritime and Transport Workers is more commonly known by what three initials?
RMT.
Yes, the award-winning 2004 novel Small Island, about the lives of Jamaican migrants in post-war Britain, is by which British author?
Bryson.
No, Andrea Levy. What name, after the German geologist who devised it, is given to the scale of hardness of 10 minerals based on their resistance to scratching by the other minerals in the set?
Mose.
Yes, the name of which major religion is an Arabic word, often translated as submission or surrender in regard to God?
Islam.
Yes, in English billiards, potting, the opponent's ball scores how many points?
4.
No, 2. The Attractions were the backing group for which British singer with whom they had a UK hit single in 1979 with the song Oliver's Army?
Elvis Costello.
Yes, a type of vegetarian sausage typically made with Caerphilly cheese, leeks and breadcrumbs is named after what historic county of South Wales?
Glamorganshire.
Yes, what's the first name of the son of Princess Anne and her former husband, Captain Mark Phillips?
Peter.
Yes, what term derived from the Greek for run together is used in medicine to refer to a recognizable set of symptoms that characterize a particular condition?
Phenotype.
No, syndrome. In 1565, the Ottoman Empire launched an unsuccessful siege of which Mediterranean island, which was controlled at the time by the Knights Hospitaller?
Malta.
Yes, in the Westminster Parliament, what name is given to the box at which a minister or shadow minister stands while making a speech?
Dispatch box.
It is dispatch box. Lewis, you had no passes at the end of that round. You've got 19 points. Let's have Juliet again. Juliet, you start with 9 points. The score to beat as it stands is 19 points. You've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. What word was added to the Oxford English Dictionary in 2014 as a slang term for a photograph of oneself, typically taken with a smartphone?
Selfie.
Yes, in geometry, what's the usual term for a polygon with 5 sides?
Pentagon.
Yes, the 4 grades introduced by Ofsted in 2005 to rate the effectiveness of schools and childcare providers are inadequate, satisfactory, good, and which other?
Outstanding.
Yes, with more than 200 million inhabitants, which is the most populous country in Africa?
South Africa.
No, Nigeria. For much of the American Civil War, which Union general and future US president rode a thoroughbred horse called Cincinnati?
Jackson.
No, Grant, according to the Greek poet Hesiod, which Titan stole fire from Zeus and gifted it to humanity?
Hearers.
No, Prometheus. In 2005, Prince William graduated with a degree in geography from which Scottish university?
St Andrews.
Yes, in physics, what property of a transverse wave is defined as the distance from the equilibrium position to the top of a crest or bottom of a trough?
Magnitude.
No, amplitude. Which Australian actress, known for her role in the television series Succession, won an Olivier Award in April 2024 for the one-woman adaptation of the picture of Dorian Gray, in
Sarah
which she
Snook.
plays 26 different characters?
Sarah Snook.
Yes, in which sport do teams compete for the Larry O'Brien Championship trophy, first awarded in 1977?
Ice hockey.
No, basketball. Linen is a fabric made from the stem fibres of what plant?
Cotton.
No, flax. Which singer topped the UK albums chart in May 2024 with Radical Optimism?
Stormzy.
No, Dua Lipa. In the names of South Asian dishes such as merg makhani and merg masala, the word merg usually refers to what meat?
Lamb.
No, chicken. What name, partly derived from a Greek word for thief, is given to the impulse control disorder characterised by a compulsion to steal?
Kleptomania.
Yes, Apsley House at Hyde Park Corner is now a museum dedicated to which statesman whose London home it was in the 19th century?
Gladstone.
No, Wellington. The song Another Day of Sun, set in a traffic jam in Los Angeles, is the opening number of what 2016 film musical?
La La Land.
Yes, what small Arctic whale has the scientific name Monodon monoceros, a reference to the single tusk which is possessed by the male and can grow to more than 9 feet in length?
Narwhal.
Yes, which American broadcasting company, almost always known by its 3 initials, adopted a colourful, stylised peacock as its logo in 1956?
NBC.
It is NBC. Juliet, you had no passes. At the end of that round, you've got 18 points. And finally, let's have Justin, please. Justin, you start with 9 points. The score to beat to get through to the semi-finals is Lewis's 19 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. Wolfgang Amadeus are the most commonly used forenames of which famous 18th century composer?
Mozart.
Yes. Which Scandinavian capital city is served by Arlanda International Airport?
Copenhagen.
No, Stockholm. A junior solicitor named Arthur Kipps, who tells of his disturbing experiences at the remote Eel Marsh House, is the narrator of what ghost story written by Susan Hill?
The Turn of the Screw.
No, The Woman in Black. Which British singer had a UK hit single in 2007 with the song Foundations from her chart-topping debut album Made of Bricks?
Lady Gaga.
No, Kate Nash. It was announced in 2018 that the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup would be jointly hosted by the United States, Canada, and which other country?
Mexico.
Yes. What disease transmitted by ticks is named after the town in the US state of Connecticut where it was first observed in 1975?
Lyme disease.
Yes. What word, the past participle of a French verb meaning to jump, is used in both French and English as a cookery term and means to fry quickly in a little hot fat?
Sauté.
Yes, an 8.5-foot tall canvas unveiled in May 2024, which was the first official portrait of King Charles III since his coronation, was painted by which British artist?
Way.
No, Jonathan Yeo. What Latin word meaning on the left-hand side is now used as an adjective to describe something threatening or ominous?
Sinister.
Yes. What major seaport on the Pacific coast of Russia has a name that translates as Lord or Master of the East?
Vladivostok.
Yes. Which American actress was nominated for an Oscar for her performance as the title character, a real-life long-distance swimmer in the 2023 film Naiad?
Blank.
No, Annette Bening. Protium is the most common isotope of which chemical element?
Hydrogen.
Yes, the supermodel born Jelena Nora Hadid in 1995 uses what childhood nickname as her first name?
Shakira.
No, Gigi. What's the name of the estate in East Belfast where the Northern Ireland Assembly and Parliament buildings are situated?
Stormont.
Yes. What was the name of the teletext information service provided by the BBC from 1974 to 2012, which featured pages about news, sport and television schedules?
The Quick News.
No, Ceefax. The word nutria is a name for the fur of what rodent native to South America?
Capybara.
No, Koipu, a bronze statue of which American civil rights activist depicted in a seated position was unveiled at the US Capitol in 2013, 100 years after her birth?
Rosa Parks.
Yes, what term for a group of lines that form a distinct unit within a poem is derived I've started, so I'll finish. Is derived from an Italian word for a stopping place or standing place.
Stanza.
It is stanza. And Justin, at the end of that round, you had no passes. You've got 19 points.
Thank you.
So let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place with 14 points is Susan. In third place with 18 points, it's Juliet. And in joint first place with 19 points each, Justin and Lewis. And they both have no passes as well. So it's a tie-break. Here's how it'll work. I'll read the same 5 questions to each of the contenders, and the one with the higher score will win. And they're not against the clock this time. So let me ask Lewis to leave the studio now for obvious reasons, and Justin, if you'd like to return to the black chair, please. So, Justin, I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and I won't tell you whether you've got the answers right or wrong. Here we go. Between 2013 and 2016, which Canadian singer had UK hit albums entitled Kissland, Beauty Behind the Madness, and Starboy?
Justin Bieber.
Which seaport on the west coast of France, a former Huguenot stronghold, has a name that translates as the Small Rock?
La Rochelle.
In the television sitcom Citizen Smith, first shown in 1977, the title character is played by which actor?
Woody Allen.
In astronomy, the triple star with the scientific name Polaris, sometimes known as the North Star or Earth's pole star, is the brightest star in which official constellation?
Andromeda.
What was the name of the blind and deaf American author and disability and women's rights campaigner whose autobiography, The Story of My Life, was published in 1903?
Helen Keller.
Those are your 5 questions. Thank you, and you can return to your seat. And now let's have Lewis back into the studio to take the black chair, please. So, it's the same process for you, Lewis. I'll ask you the same 5 questions that I just asked Justin. You're not against the clock, and the higher scorer wins. And this time, the correct answers will appear on the screen for the viewers at home. Here we go. Between 2013 and 2016, which Canadian singer had UK hit albums entitled Kissland, Beauty Behind the Madness, and Starboy?
The Weekend.
Which seaport on the west coast of France, a former Huguenot stronghold, has a name that translates as the Small Rock?
Petiton.
In the television sitcom Citizen Smith, first shown in 1977, the title character is played by which actor?
Robert Lindsay.
In astronomy, the triple star with the scientific name Polaris, sometimes known as the North Star or Earth's pole star, is the brightest star in which official constellation?
Ursa Minor.
What was the name of the blind and deaf American author and disability and women's rights campaigner whose autobiography, The Story of My Life, was published in 1903?
Helen Keller.
That's it. Those are your 5 questions. Thank you. You can return to your seat. Well, at the end of that tiebreak, we now have a winner. Justin has a total of 21 points, but tonight's winner with 23 points is Lewis, which means he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. And those 5 answers were The Weekend, La Rochelle, Robert Lindsay, Ursa Minor, and Helen Keller. Join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.